is Valley News Live at 4.
Good afternoon, everyone. We begin with the story that's new for you at 4. Valley News Live is continuing to investigate the kidnapping of 2 young girls from a park in Marshall County. We've learned the man accused faces a laundry list of sex charges against minors across the state. 19-year-old Julio Clausen was charged with contributing to the delinquency of a child and underage alcohol possession back in February after police broke up a party at his apartment with 10 young teens present. He was also charged with 3 counts of criminal sexual conduct in October 2020 after being accused of sexually assaulting girls in his car. The Marshall County attorney tells us it could be another week before Clausen is charged in the kidnapping incident. Fargo police are looking for a man who crashed his car into an apartment building, injuring a woman and a baby, and then ran off. Take a look at this. It was caught on camera. A witness caught the driver running away from the scene just before noon. Fargo police say the man lost control, crashing into an apartment complex on 48th Street South, right behind Shields. A woman and a baby in the apartment were taken to the hospital. They're expected to be okay. Police are looking for that driver, saying he's African American and was wearing a red sweatshirt, jeans, and red shoes. If you have any information, call Fargo police. The woman convicted of helping cover up a Moorhead teen's gruesome murder is back behind bars. 27-year-old Andrea Payne was sentenced in May for helping Ethan Broad cover up the murder of Destiny Avery. She spent more than a year in the Clay County Jail before sentencing, where she was given credit for time served and put on probation. Jail records show she was arrested yesterday after police spent a month looking for her. No word yet on which terms of the probation she may have violated, but she'll be back in court on Monday. To the forecast, here's Hutch with a look at when we may get rid of some of this smoke. Hutch.
Stacy, thanks so much, and good late afternoon, everyone. We have seen a lot of change in the skies over the valley heading throughout the day. The morning hours were some of the worst as we take a look at a shot from our Home of Economy camera here in Grand Forks. Now, as we go through the afternoon, we are expecting temperatures to still be hot out to the west, but we definitely have some issues. Do we have max 1? To take a look at there from the weather standpoint here? Nope. Okay, so we'll talk about the Skycam shows. We still have some smoke, but we started out the day with higher levels of smoke in the atmosphere. And because of rain and because of south wind, some of this smoke has begun pushing out of the valley. Today is a first alert weather day for the smoke and the heat that is building to the west. Let's get to the latest. Here's a look at those rain showers. Those rain showers moving through Lake of the Woods now with a few lightning strikes out there. We do have those extending out through Bemidji. Those have actually cleansed the atmosphere of some of the smoke in the area, but the clouds limiting temperatures there to the 60s in northern Minnesota. We have some temperatures that are warmer out to the west. So look at Pierre, 100 degrees, Bismarck at 97. So the air quality, there it is, improved. Orange. We started out the day in the very unhealthy and hazardous categories as things are improving across the valley. However, smoke will be a problem and the heat will be a problem going into the future. We'll have more on that in your forecast in just a few minutes.
Hey, thanks, Hutch. Yeah, many of you have reached out to us saying you're struggling with the amount of smoke that's in the air. Joining us now is our first alert storm team's Summer Schnellbach with some tips to keep you safe. Summer?
Yeah, thanks, Stacy and Hutch. That smoke you have been seeing the last several days have been coming from those wildfires up in Canada. The North Dakota Department of Environmental Quality says while most of the state is now within those normal air quality limits, Fargo and Grand Forks are still at unhealthy levels for some, in the orange when it comes to breathing in that air. First and foremost, if you're having trouble breathing, you need to get medical help right away. But the Federal Emergency Management Agency says if your breathing is still manageable, there are a few steps that you can take to protect yourself from the smoke. Use an N95 respirator. FEMA adds that the cloth, surgical, and dust masks will not help protect yourself against smoke pollution. The N95 masks have a filter that will block out some of those particles. You may also consider replacing the air filter inside of your home, as smoke can seep within the small cracks in doors, windows, and air conditioning units. Another one, if you're a fan of exercising outdoors, you may want to take it inside while the air quality is low. We'll likely see many more of these hazy days throughout the rest of the summer while these wildfires continue to burn. Stacy?
All right, thanks so much, Summer, and we'll keep you updated on the latest air quality conditions right here on Valley News Live and valleynewslive.com. Now to those raging wildfires out west. The extreme weather isn't just impacting air quality here, but the haze is reaching as far as New York City, nearly 3,000 miles away. Garrett Hackey has the latest.
A fiery Tuesday night sunset lighting up the East Coast, fueled by these orange skies taking hold across the drought-stricken West, as wildfire smoke there drifts across the continent, triggering air quality warnings here.
That is just nasty. That is the haze and the smoke coming down across our area.
Satellite imagery showing the smoke spreading across much of the U.S., all the way to the East Coast. In the West, more than 80 wildfires are burning across 13 states, torching more than 1.3 million acres of land. A raging battle against fire and wind as firefighters work to put out the flames. In Oregon, the bootleg fire is so big it's generating its own weather by producing its own massive cloud, creating dry thunderstorms, lightning, and strong winds that can potentially start more fires. That mega fire, the largest in the U.S. so far this year, has already devoured nearly 400,000 acres of forest and forced thousands to evacuate. In California, the rapidly growing Tamarack fire near Lake Tahoe is threatening hundreds of homes, with many communities in the area under mandatory evacuation orders.
They gave us about 20 minutes notice. But it looked like they said the fire was like 5-6 miles away, and about an hour later it was right on us.
The smoky infernos out west creating hazy skies thousands of miles away.
There's a ton of smoke coming across the continent,
stretching from Toronto to Philadelphia.
We definitely can barely see the sky today.
The wildfire is so strong, in New York City, a plume of haze clouded the city skyline. The air quality Tuesday, the worst the city had seen in nearly 15 years.
The couple whose gender reveal ceremony sparked a massive wildfire has been charged with the death of a firefighter. They pleaded not guilty. The fire began in early September when the couple set off a smoke bomb in a park. Strong winds and dry conditions stoked the fire, and 2 weeks later a firefighter was killed. 13 others were injured and hundreds were evacuated. Lawmakers held a hearing on the rising issue of extreme heat today. States in the West say hundreds of deaths could be linked to the extreme heat. A professor with Oregon State told lawmakers that the people who died are the first climate-related casualties in the Pacific Northwest, and officials knew who would be most at risk.
Those who died lacked access to financial capital, social networks, and had aging or injured bodies. We knew who was going to die. I wrote a report in 2009 stating as much, and yet local agencies had little capacity or understanding for taking swift action on this heat wave.
The extreme temperatures continue this week, with western North Dakota seeing several days of highs in the hundreds. Barnesville is the latest city in the valley to implement water restrictions. Barnesville will also be without its water tower for a month for maintenance. The city joins Grand Forks, Moorhead, Dilworth, and many others who have told their residents to conserve. We'll have more on how the drought is impacting these communities tonight on Valley News Live at 9 and 10. North Dakota's Ag Commissioner is the latest in a long line of officials calling for the early release of emergency haying on federally controlled land. State and federal officials from North Dakota and Minnesota have asked the Ag Department to allow the practice because of the drought. Emergency haying on Conservation Reserve Program land in North Dakota isn't allowed before August, but the dry and hot conditions have livestock producers worried that there may not be enough to go around. North Dakota's congressional representative has been pulled from the committee investigating the insurrection at the U.S. Capitol. House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy withdrew all 5 GOP picks just minutes after Speaker Nancy Pelosi rejected 2 of them. The Speaker rejected Jim Banks of Indiana and Jim Jordan of Ohio, saying they would compromise the integrity of the investigation. McCarthy called the move an abuse of power and said Republicans will conduct their own investigation instead. Officials in the Northern Valley are asking you to stop accidentally calling 911. The Beltrami County Sheriff's Office says they've seen an explosion of 911 hang-up calls after an iPhone update that allows for easier emergency calls without having to unlock your phone. The Sheriff's Office says it's easy to trigger a call by dropping your phone or bumping into something while it's in your pocket. However, the inconvenience quickly becomes a real problem when you don't clear things up with emergency responders. The center will call you back and make sure you're okay. If you don't respond, they have to send an officer to find you. We have instructions on how to disable that feature on our website, valleynewslive.com. Just click on this story. Just 2 days left of the United Way school supply drive, and they need your help. The goal is to provide 6,000 students with the supplies they need to get the school year off to a good start. As of today, they're about halfway there and say these last couple days are critical. The United Way says the generosity from the community is especially important for kids and families this school year because the need is greater and supplies are more expensive.
You pile that on top of the pandemic and the impacts from the pandemic. We just saw families that used to potentially donate to the drive have to access the drive, and that's what this program is for. It's for any family at any point in which they might need this resource. And the schools really greatly appreciate the resource that we provide to these students too, because they have access to the supplies when they show up on their first day of school.
They say the best way to donate is by giving a financial donation. Then your money can go a little further because the United Way can purchase supplies in bulk. If you'd rather go shopping, supplies can be dropped off at the Shields Arena by 3 p.m. on Friday. Coming up, is Netflix still the top streaming service? Why the number of subscribers is surprising the company.
Some decreasing smoke and clouds allowing temperatures in your planner tonight to stick in those low to mid 80s for the next several hours. Then as we head to bed, slowly falling through the 70s. There's a few showers out there helping to cleanse the atmosphere, but the heat is on. Your hour-by-hour forecast has the details. That's next. Join me.